at 7:07. Please join me with the pledge. I happen to have a little flag here. I pledge allegiance to
To the flag, the United States of America,
Republic,
to the republic for
one
which it's
nation,
nation, under God,
Individual
indivisible, liberty,
justice
justice.
for all.
for all.
Thank you all. And if DJ tunes in, we'll put him in charge. Consideration of the approval of the minutes of August 11th.
Make a motion, we accept those minutes as written.
I'll second it.
Who seconded it? Peter?
Yep.
Thank you. Any additions or deletions? All those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Carries. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the consideration of the purchase of the Pierce Quint truck for Stony Hill.
Okay, it
Fire.
looks like DJ's joining.
Okay. Hi, DJ.
Oh, he's connecting to audio.
Okay, all right.
DJ, you're muted. I see where D has joined our meeting. DJ, if that's you, you are muted. If you could unmute yourself. Oh, no, it's Dave. Okay, my apologies. So it's not DJ. Keep going, Rich.
Okay. So to get things started, I'll make a motion that we consider buying the new Pierce Quint truck for the Stony Hill Fire Department. Okay, second for discussion.
Need a second, guys.
I need a second for discussion of the purchasing the truck.
I'll second for discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Okay, Chief Baker,
Yes, sir.
you want to give us a presentation on the truck, please?
Okay, so I believe everybody should have gotten a copy of the presentation. As you can see from a study that was done by Holsworth by 2016, they recommended that the Stony Hill Fire District purchase and have a ladder in that district. The ladder that we were speccing out was not supposed to copy and duplicate what Bethel has. We have gone a different concept, which would be a smaller, more compact aerial device, and also a stick format versus a platform, which would give us a different aspect for venting and more work other than rescue. I believe that the need is there with the development going on within the district with the 3-story townhouses right directly across the street in Copper Square, the development that's going on across the street from Armando's. We've always had development within the Berkshire Corporate Park, Target, Big Y. So there's also commercial development that it will also benefit from. The length of the aerial device, this particular one being 107 foot, I think will be a huge benefit for its reach, being the height as well as the distance it'll get with including setbacks. So I think it would definitely be a benefit for the town. Does anybody have any
questions
specific
from any of
questions?
the committee members for John? John, I know this is the, if I just regress a little bit, this is the truck that you guys always wanted up there.
That's correct.
And it had, you had just mentioned it wasn't to copy downtowns. Downtown has the bucket truck, and this is be a compliment for you guys and for both for the town. One would have the bucket truck, one would have the Quint.
Correct. And this is more beneficial even, I think, in a residential area where some of the streets are a little bit smaller, narrower. Because putting the two trucks side by side, ours that we're looking at is 39 feet long versus 47 feet long on the current truck that Bethel has. So there is going to be some obvious differences. It's not a duplication.
What was the original price of the truck? I know we're getting a discount because it's a demo truck.
Yeah, it was about 1.1, 1.2 million.
Something I didn't put in my motion, and Dion, I need to add to it when I made the motion to discuss the buying of the truck. We have a price tag of $950,000. And the stock number would be 34093. If you add that to the motion, please.
And I don't know if this matters or not, but I did see where John Baker had sent an email out about accessories that were going to have to go along with this.
Well, that was going to be a separate issue. This is
Okay.
just.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to make sure that everybody saw the email.
Okay.
Rich, it's Tom Galliford. I don't know if you mind, but just to kind of expand on Chief Baker, having a lot of experience for the last 5 years as a past chief and the past assistant chief for probably 10 years before that, and kind of the history of where this came, because I knew this is brand new to everybody, especially to the commission. You know, it's their third meeting, and here we are looking at almost $1 million price tag on a piece of equipment. You know, this was something that probably back to Chief Rubino, they talked about a ladder truck at some point in Stony Hill. So this has gone back, 15 years. However, in 2014 or so, this Pierce Ascendant, this single axle, smaller length ladder truck was designed by Pierce, and Mike Hanratty, the salesman and one of the owners of Firematics, on the line too, so he can fill us in on any details with pricing and specs. But this ladder came along, which kind of fit our need for a smaller ladder truck, a shorter wheelbase that could kind of act as an engine, a fire engine, the red truck with the hose in the water, and have a ladder on top of it. So it'll kind of fit the need of a ladder and an engine, hence the Quint terminology. We looked at one back in 2015. We looked at a few others, a couple variations of it. We've been up to a few Firematic shows throughout the years in New England and looked at different variations of it and designs. And it's really something that stuck with us, this design. And it's through a manufacturer that we're familiar with
When I became chief,
in Stony Hill.
so he's able to
So,
polish what I say.
This demo just happened to come along. We heard that Firematic had a demo vehicle available that they've had across the country. And we just invite them down to take a look at it, just to see if there's anything different about it. This one's a little different variation with the way the pump is set up. And then we had just asked Matt to come along and take a look at it to see, what it was. And that's how this all kind of came across quite quickly. So I know it's kind of a quick moving item here. But, like we've talked about, I think the last budget price we put up for this was like 1.3 million for a brand new truck and all the equipment. So it's not just the apparatus, there's radios, there's tools and different equipment you have to put on it. the graphics, change some lighting, add some cabinetry, mounting brackets, things of that nature. So there's some additional costs like you talked about, but I think overall that we could keep it under that, around 995,000, whether we appropriate the other money, the 45,000 that we need for radios and upgrades and whatnot separately.
Well-
It's still way below the 1.2 million that you would, spend and have to wait a year for it to be,
To be built in there and all that,
More than a year, about a year and a half now.
year and a half.
Yeah. So I don't know if Mike wants to just give a little background on the apparatus and, what
Let
it
me
means to
just
be a
ask
demo and some of
Matt
the-
a quick question. Matt's online here, isn't he?
Yep, I'm here.
Matt?
Yep.
At this time, you don't want to put the accessories on this call.
No, I don't, for two reasons. One, I was just looking at Chief Baker's estimate, and that would push this over $1 million, which would require a referendum. But more to the point, those things have to go out to bid. It would be kind of, it might not be efficient to try to put them in the price now, not knowing exactly what they are. And once they're put out to bid, they might come in lower anyway. But for those two reasons, I would suggest that we purchase the truck first and then handle the accessories and the other equipment as an add-on.
Right. Yeah, that's what I thought we had discussed about.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to clarify that.
And
If
I
I
just
could-
want to ask, DJ, did you join the meeting? I have an iPhone. If you're the iPhone, you're muted. Let me see. I have two iPhones. It just, oh, there he is. Okay.
The iPhone is Richard Thode.
Okay. All right.
There's DJ. You're muted, DJ.
I apologize about that. I had a scheduling snafu. When we looked at our schedule last week, I forgot I was swapped on this evening. So I apologize, but I'm here now.
Oh, all right. We started the meeting and there's a motion on the table to discuss the purchase of the truck. And
Okay.
John Baker gave a outline of what they needed.
Okay. Was that the equipment that they in addition, or?
No, we're strictly discussing the truck now.
Okay.
Yeah, no, just the truck. And really what the motion is to forward, if you proceed with it, would be forward it as a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen to proceed with the purchase.
Okay.
Like I said, Mike Hanratty is on. I don't know if you just want to give him a few minutes just to kind of give you an overview of what it means to be a demo and some of the specifications of the apparatus.
Hold on one second. I gotta get my headphones so I can hear a little better.
All good?
Oh, good. Go ahead. Thank you very much. Much better.
Oh, that was loud.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? For having me on tonight and having this meeting. I know this has all come to, been put together fairly quickly, but that's the nature of the business when it comes to a stock unit sale. Pierce Manufacturing, the company who built the truck, always keeps a number of stock/demo units in the field, rotating around the country for sales reps and dealerships to use to show off, as well as to sell and meet immediate needs for customers that either have trucks go out of service or, potential sales opportunities that might not be there otherwise. This particular truck came into my district about a month ago, and we've been showing it around. It has, as I mentioned on the proposal, about 11,000 miles on it. Because it has 11,000 miles on it, because it was built last year in 2020, it comes with a very healthy discount to the tune of about $120,000. So the price of the truck right now, as it sits, is $950,000. If we were to do a build to order truck and order it today, it would be about a 16-month delivery, and the truck would be at least $140,000 more than it is, because it's not only that $120,000 discount, it's also another 2% higher because there's been one price increase that's happened since that truck was initiated. So you're seeing all of those trucks right now are getting sold in the 1.1 to 1.15 range, depending on how they're outfitted. So it really is at $950, a very, very good price. And there's only one in existence left like it that's at that price range. So I think it will give you good value. It's getting sold as new in terms of warranty, which is great. So I think it's, in terms of fitment of your needs, it certainly seems to make sense because of its maneuverability, its ability to transverse the streets of Bethel easily. When you look at the difference between what it proposes, what it can do, versus what Bethel has, the two go together very nicely, because any of the areas in town where a tower ladder, which is what Bethel has, that has a rear overhang of about 200 inches from the center of the rear wheels to the back of the truck. Now that, when you have a truck that big with that much overhang, it takes a bit of room to get it to maneuver around. And there's some areas, especially the small condos across the street from the firehouse, that make it really difficult to get the truck close enough to really be of use. This truck is designed around those particular spots specifically. It's specifically designed for those types of small areas, and that's why it's small. Yet still has 107 feet of horizontal reach. So that's where it really shines, and is a difference maker between it and a platform. Nothing wrong with Bethel's platform. Great truck, great use. Obviously they need it. This is a different animal that suits a different purpose. So happy to answer any questions that you have relative to the truck or anything regarding that. And hopefully this goes well.
John, Chief Baker, it will fit in the truck bay, okay? Doesn't it?
Absolutely. I can send you a picture. It's been in there.
Okay. I just want to clarify that.
I made sure of that too.
Well, it seems to make proper fiscal sense when things like this land in your lap and you can save a few $100,000. Seems to make sense to me.
I have a couple questions for Chief Baker, if that's all right.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'd like to start by saying I am a firm believer that Bethel does not need two ladder trucks. I work here in Danbury. We don't even have two ladder trucks. We drastically need it. So I definitely don't think we need two ladder trucks. But that being said, with my, relation to the fire service, I am a fan of always having tools in the toolbox. So I think, obviously if you can back a Quinton and, make use of it, that's a great thing to have. My question for you, is there a possibility now you have Rescue 2 is a 99, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so and engine 11 is the one that you're going to be replacing. That's the 82?
That's the 83. That's 38 years old. Correct.
Okay. So my question would be, has there been any consideration for you guys to consolidate your rescue equipment onto this rig and run this Quint as your, rescue engine type, so to speak, to eliminate the need down the road? You're basically essentially replacing two apparatus with one. Is that a possibility? That's something we can look at?
Well, we have already done that once already when we had bought the pumper tanker that we have in 2013 that replaced engine 11, which was moved to a reserve status, and engine 2, which was a tanker. So we've already reduced the fleet already. So I wouldn't recommend reducing it again. Plus, with the Quint having limited square footage for compartment space, to make it a pumper aerial rescue, I think would be a bit limiting. Already the rescue truck that we have, we've taken the Cascade off it because it doesn't have enough room to fit our needs.
Okay, when is that gonna be due up for replacement? When are we looking at a projected replacement for the rescue truck?
That probably would be about 5 years down the road.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions or discussion?
Yeah, I had talked to Tom Galliford and the chief also, and if I'm correct, that you said this would be the first responding engine for a fire. Either
That's correct.
Fire or car fire, is that correct?
Correct. That's the definition of the Quint. It is a, an attack engine as well as being an aerial device. So it could be run first due to car fires as well.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to quickly become known as the question guy because I got a whole host of questions primarily for Chief Baker, but I'll go ahead and give it a start. I guess basically from what I'm understanding is you're going to be replacing engine 11 with this?
That's correct.
So there will no longer be a town spare? Because engine 11 was designated as the town spare.
Engine 3 can be used as a spare.
Is engine 3 going to be designated as a spare, or is it going to be still be as part of your response policy?
We were going to keep it in response ready, keeping it with equipment on it, but we were planning on making the Quint the first pumper, and second due would be the pumper tanker. And if it was a non-hydrant area, obviously the pumper tanker would go first.
My major concern with making the other engine a spare is obviously that engine doesn't fit in the Bethel Fire Department, so it really doesn't. It's not really a viable town spare, being that it doesn't fit in the building.
Is that 11 or 3 you're talking about, Fred?
Engine 11 fits. That's the one they're talking about getting rid of. That's the 38-year-old
Right.
truck.
Well,
engine three does not fit.
yeah. Well, I don't know. We'd have to have some discussion about that, I think, because selling that last truck from downtown was a shame.
It was a mistake. That truck should have been.
I would
That
want
should have been the town spare.
I would like the commission to look at, maybe even keeping 11 as still the spare, especially if it fits in the other department.
Yeah, I mean, having a truck that's dedicated as a reserve pumper for the town, improves your ISO rating, and it lowers the insurance, the insurance premiums for all the homeowners and businesses in town. So there's definitely a benefit to having a town spare. If you have one that doesn't fit in a firehouse, then it doesn't do a whole lot of good. But that's neither here nor there.
Fred, can I just expand on that a little bit, please? If you don't mind.
Oh,
We didn't have a town spare before 2013, right?
That's
We had
correct.
4 pumpers in town. We didn't have a town spare. Once we got engine 1 and made the old engine 1, the 83, the spare, you guys still had 2 pumpers down there that, right, needed replacement, which you eventually replaced. And at that time, you were using it a lot because your older pumpers were being out of service. But the town never really always had a town spare. So now you have 2 newer pumpers, we have newer pumpers. So the need for a spare really is, at least in my eyes, is not a major factor. And a 4th pumper in the town I've already checked, that doesn't change your ISO rating. Having another ladder we get partial credit for a ladder with the tools on our rescue trucks, but we'll get credit for a second ladder, but we don't get extra credit for a 4th pumper. We have adequate pumpers for ISO. I just want to make that clear, that's all.
Okay, and then somebody had mentioned the Holdsworth recommendation of replacing or adding a ladder to the Stony Hill district. If memory serves me correct, that Holdsworth recommendation had replacing Bethel's ladder prior to buying a ladder for the Stony Hill district, and that hasn't been done yet. So we're kind of going out of order on the Holdsworth recommendation, which I never really agreed with wholeheartedly to begin with. But just to put that out there, we're a little out of order on replacements there.
Mr. Chair, if I might comment on that a little bit.
Yes.
Just so you know, the study that the Selectmen commissioned with Holdsworth really was not an exhaustive analysis on what equipment we need. It was more like, the charge we gave them was, if we were going to replace these trucks according to the schedule that that the firehouses themselves had proposed, so this goes back to the 10-year capital plan that we had. Then we asked Holdsworth to tell us how much money do we need to set aside in a sinking fund. It was more of a budget exercise, so we didn't have to go out and float a loan or float a short-term note every time we bought a truck. So it really wasn't so much that Holdsworth was saying you should replace this particular truck on this particular date. They were mostly responding to what we already had in our capital plan as an estimate. So I would just simply caution on using that too much for that purpose. And by the way, we've never been able to put money aside the way we suggested because there have been too many other budget pressures to do that. So it's one of the things I'm still trying to do is get I think the Holdsworth plan said, if you want to replace these trucks on a schedule that you suggest, then you should be setting aside $300,000 a year and letting it build up, which we've never done. So obviously that number is going to be bigger today. So that's one of the things we're trying to do still from a budgeting point of view. Thank you.
All right, my next question, Chief, is I didn't have time to go out and ride around today, and I'm not 100% positive on the answer. Will this truck fit under the railroad trestle on Route 53?
The truck is, I believe, 11.6, and I believe the railroad trestle is 11.4.
So the answer would be no.
Correct.
So access to Clark Park would be difficult.
Park is before the bridge.
Before the bridge.
Okay, but anything past the bridge going down Turkey Plain Road would require you go down Nashville and, okay, so it'd be a limited area.
That the bridge in Nashville.
It's a limited area. Okay. Some of my questions are already answered. I'm kind of concerned. I saw your email that you sent out at like 5:30. We talked a little bit about the additional 44,000 plus. It really kind of bothers me that we're talking about 950,000 for a truck, and then I know you want to try to discuss this separately, another 44,000. That's getting us up near that $1 million threshold, and it seems like we're kind of we're dancing around, not giving the taxpayers a voice on on a threshold that we told them you get to $1 million, you're going to have a referendum and you get a voice, but it seems we're kind of dancing around that on a very thin line. I don't really like that myself. That's not really a question. That's just kind of an opinion I have on that. And then I got 3 more questions. Chief, can you tell me any time in recent history that Bethel's ladder was used for fire suppression or rescue in your district?
Well, we've had times where Brookfield has come in with their ladder for the Walnut Hill fire. They came in and it was utilized there. It was brought in just recently for a fire on, I believe it was Sunny Acre. So it is definitely a viable tool in that district as well. In fact, those were both in residential areas where it was tight to get the truck in on Walnut Hill down the driveway.
And can you tell me how many mutual aid aerial devices are available within an 8-mile radius of your firehouse?
Of an 8-mile radius, Hollyville.
Keeping in mind that Sandy Hook is 8 miles.
Correct. So Hollyville has one, Sandy Hook has one, and Brookfield has one. But again, to have that apparatus to be viable in a placement to be used that far into the incident, coming mutual aid from another town is not realistic.
All right, and I think the chairman already answered the question, but my last question was, how many aerial devices are staffed in the city of Danbury?
Staffed right now, it is 1. But if you're talking about number of aerial apparatus within a town, several of the surrounding towns do have more than one aerial device. Brookfield has more than one. Newtown has more than one. Danbury has access to two. It's not staffed, but they can bring in a staff for the second one if needed.
That's all I have for questions. Just, I kind of fall into the category as, I don't think this is a justifiable expense for the town at this point. You cited 2 occasions in recent history, where a ladder was used in your district. I can't see spending nearly $1 million at this point in time for another ladder truck in a small town like Bethel. I don't see it as a necessity.
Mr. Chair, mind if I ask a couple questions?
Yep, go ahead.
Which I will apologize in advance if they're very elementary, because I am not a firefighter I don't, and Chief Baker, I don't know if you would have this info, but maybe Tom Galliford did. How often is the Tower 1 dispatched from Bethel, from downtown? Like I know there's a protocol for dispatching, but like how many times per month does it go out on calls? Any idea? I know Chris is not on the line tonight, but.
Well, anytime there's a potential of a structure fire, both fire districts, both departments are dispatched, and Bethel will respond their ladder truck.
Okay. So it was in the capital plan initially that we expected to replace Tower 1 a couple of years ago, and then we went through the whole exercise with the fire apparatus, which several of you participated in, the fire apparatus committee. And the bottom line of that is we bought a couple more years of service out of Tower 1 for a relatively inexpensive price. But as Rich Thode, who was chairing the apparatus committee, pointed out, he said, we do have to replace it, just not today, but sometime soon. So I know that Chief McCollum pushed that back, I think he pushed it back to 2023, the replacement of Tower 1. So my question is this truck that the commission is considering tonight, would this take pressure off of Tower 1? I guess I'm going to phrase it, would it be almost like having 1.5 trucks, where we have a primary ladder truck, which would be that one, and then Tower 1 would still be in service for fires where a larger truck or a truck with that particular characteristics would be needed? In other words, I would agree with Fred. If Tower 1 was like 5 years old, it wouldn't seem to me to make a lot of sense to add a second truck to the town's inventory. But seeing as how Tower 1 is close to being a replacement, would this product, this Pierce, satisfy both departments for a period of time?
I would say so, yes.
Okay.
I'd like to just add, Chief McCollum had spoken to me recently, and Bethel's Tower had just gone through its third-party, inspection, and the results of that came back, stellar. There was absolutely, that truck is 100%. There was nothing wrong with it, and the inspector even commented that it was one of the cleanest aerials in the area that he's seen and inspected. So, third-party inspections are saying that truck is in good shape for quite a while to come. So.
I think that purchasing this truck gives us a little time on the other truck for downtown. Plus, that truck is going to be spec'd out and built, from my understanding, when they do decide that we need it. So it's going to take like 1.5 years to get that other truck to the town. And this seems like it would be a good thing in the interim that we have the truck. And there is a potential of a lot of new building going on up there in Stony Hill. The building is actually right across the street from the firehouse. So I think it's a good move that the town purchased this vehicle at this time for the discounted price that's available. That's my opinion.
I have one other quick question for Chief Baker.
Yes, sir.
Chief, the single axle, that's engine 3, correct?
Engine 3 is a single axle, correct?
Okay. And what year is that one?
That one is an 05.
Okay. So, and when were we thinking replacement of that?
That really hasn't been discussed because it is in such great shape. We're probably looking
Okay.
at least, another 7 to 10 years.
Okay. And with the purchase of this, obviously, and running this first due and in that's place, that's going to buy you time on that, obviously, correct? Okay. Okay. Anybody else have any further discussion?
I do have one point. I just want to say that I share Fred's concern on the ethics of a $995.99 thousand, to skirt under the referendum and separating the obvious add-ons. And when we first talked about the add-ons at the last meeting, it was $30,000 of add-ons, and now that we put a pencil to it, it's $40,000 of add-ons. And I bet by the time we talk about it again, I'm not faulting anybody, but I bet by the time we talk about it again, it'll be 50 or 60,000. And, so you're looking at a package going over $1 million. So I think, there's an ethical duty to represent it to the town in the way the charter expects it to be represented.
I'd like to comment on that. If we had bid prices and they were firm, I would 100% say we should just put the thing as one price. But since we are working with estimates and we don't really know what those are, that's one of the reasons why I would say, we should handle it separately. You don't even have to put everything on at the same time either, if there's other things that can be reused. But just for your consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any further discussion?
I know I'm not a member here, but if you don't mind, Chairman Brown, if I can just make a comment on a couple of Fred's comments.
Sure.
So Fred, there was a time, right? I think you proposed when you were chief a quint apparatus, a similar 75-foot straight stick for your fire department with an addition to meet that need of those areas in town where your ladder truck could not fit into smaller driveways and lime kilns, codfish hill areas. So, that was discussed amongst us many, many years ago, prior to the commission being formed here.
Actually, Chief, you're incorrect. When you bought engine one is the bumper tanker.
Mhm.
Yeah, they get the two confused.
Yes.
When you bought engine one, Chief Barchisepi was chief. And my recommendation to Chief Barchisepi at the time was that Stony Hill buy a 75-foot stick at the time to offset the town's needs. So instead of buying a bumper tanker, my recommendation to Chief Barchisepi was to buy a 75-foot stick at the time. It was not an additional ladder for Bethel.
That's when you're looking to put up an addition on the side of your building, correct? I thought, well, maybe I'm mistaken, but nonetheless, I just wanted to clarify that part of it. So, thank you.
Anybody else? Peter, you have anything else to add?
Nope.
Okay. So at this time, do we vote on this? What was the motion? I'm sorry, I wasn't.
Yeah,
for the
I had made a motion that to purchase the vehicle for the 950,000 and send it to the Board of Selectmen for their consideration.
Okay, so then I just have one last quick question would be, if we were to vote for it, right, what's the process from here if we recommend it? I just, for my own.
It goes to the Board of Selectmen for their recommendation, then it goes to the Board of Finance for their recommendation, and then to a town meeting for approval.
Okay.
So we're not the final say, we're just the beginning say.
Okay, that's basically what I was getting at. So I recommend that at this time we take a vote for the the motion on the floor to purchase the, to recommend and purchase this apparatus as presented to us. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And all opposed signify by saying nay.
Hey,
I can't verify how many nays there were.
Yeah,
nay.
Fred was a nay.
Fred's a nay.
Any
Anybody?
any other
Doug,
nays?
is Doug a nay?
Doug is a yay.
Doug is, okay, that's a
So
Four to
it
one.
is
4-1.
4-1.
4-1. Okay. All right, thank you.
The motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
So you can,
Thank you.
you can have a motion to adjourn now.
Yep. So we'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Seconded by Rich. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you
All
all.
right. Thank you,
Thanks.
everybody. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank
Cheers.
you.